Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad to see you here again. Tonight's episode isn't about quiet sunsets in the pomelo garden or the laughter echoing from the small countryside home. This story begins on a stormy night, one that will test the limits of love, strength, and faith. James and Diep have faced hardships before, from bankruptcy to rebuilding their lives from scratch. But this time, it's not business, not dreams, not pride on the line. It's their little girl, Nee. Late one evening, as thunder rumbles in the distance and rain begins to pour, Diep discovers her daughter burning with fever. And from that moment on, every heartbeat becomes a prayer. Stay with us until the end, because tonight's story isn't just about survival. It's about the power of love to keep hope alive when everything else feels lost. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep telling stories that move hearts. Rain hammered the old tiled roof in wild, unending waves. Each drop struck like a drumbeat against the night, echoing through the narrow wooden house. Wind howled through the cracks in the window, sneaking into the corners with its icy breath. Inside, the small room flickered with the weak glow of a single lamp. The yellow light trembled against the walls, throwing long, restless shadows. On the bed lay little Nee, her face pale, her breathing shallow. Diep leaned closer, pulling the blanket higher, but the moment her palm brushed her daughter's forehead, her heart stopped. It was scorching, burning hot, as if her child's skin were made of fire. "No. This isn't right," Diep whispered. Her hands trembled as she touched her daughter's cheek again. Sweat pooled at Nee's temples. Her lips turned pale, almost bluish. Then, a sudden jolt. Her small body convulsed violently. "James." Diep's voice cracked with terror. "She's burning up, she's having a seizure." James woke with a start, heart pounding. The world blurred for a second, until he saw his daughter trembling in Diep's arms. The color drained from his face. He pressed his palm to Nee's forehead, the heat stung his skin. A surge of fear rippled through him, but he swallowed it down. "Get ready," he said, voice firm though his throat felt dry. "We're taking her to the hospital." Now, he lifted Nee gently into his arms. She felt weightless, too still. Diep grabbed a towel, a coat, anything she could find, her fingers shaking uncontrollably. When James threw open the door, the storm rushed in. Rain lashed against their faces, cold and furious. Diep shielded Nee's head while James ran toward the car, each step splashing through puddles, the storm's roar swallowing their cries. The door slammed, the engine roared, and they were gone, swallowed by the rain. The road twisted through the countryside, slick and shining under the blurred glow of the streetlights. James leaned forward, his hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that his knuckles turned white. His pulse matched the furious rhythm of the rain. Every drop hitting the windshield felt like the echo of his own heartbeat, fast, desperate, unrelenting. Beside him, Deep clutched knee to her chest, whispering over and over, her words trembling through the darkness. Please stay with me, baby. Please, don't fall asleep. Listen to mommy. Don't sleep. Her voice broke each time she spoke. In the rearview mirror, James saw her face, drenched, pale, streaked with tears. He wanted to comfort her, to promise that everything would be fine, but the truth was, he didn't know. He only knew he couldn't stop. Hold on, he said through clenched teeth. Just a little longer. The rain thickened, pounding against the windshield like 1,000 fists. The car's wipers fought uselessly against the storm. Every light on the roadside looked warped, bleeding into the darkness like ghostly halos. Mi's breathing had grown weaker. Deep pressed her ear to the child's chest. The heartbeat was faint, fragile. She broke into sobs that tore through the sound of the rain. James couldn't bear it. His hands shook. His chest tightened with helpless rage. Rage at the storm, at fate, at his own powerlessness. Please, he prayed silently. Please, don't take her from us. Minutes felt like hours. The road was endless, until at last, the glow of the hospital appeared through the sheets of rain, pale and distant like a lighthouse through fog. James slammed on the brakes. The tires screeched, sliding across wet concrete. He jumped out before the car even stopped moving. Rain whipped across his face, but he didn't feel it. He yanked open the back door and lifted Mi into his arms. She didn't stir. Her tiny hand dangled limp against his chest. He ran through the hospital entrance shouting, "Help! Emergency! My daughter, she's having seizures." His voice echoed through the empty corridor. Within seconds, doctors and nurses rushed toward him, wheeling a gurney. Quickly, one called out, "Lay her down." They took Mi gently from his trembling arms. Her face disappeared beneath the white blanket as the gurney rolled away. "Please wait outside," a doctor said firmly. "We'll do everything we can." The doors swung shut with a sharp click, and suddenly, the world went quiet. The waiting corridor felt like a tomb. Deep collapsed onto a bench, her hands gripping each other until her knuckles turned white. She was soaked through, rain, tears, and fear clinging to her like a second skin. Please, she whispered to no one. Please save my child. James stood beside her, staring blankly at the closed emergency room doors. His lips pressed into a thin line, his eyes red, his chest rising and falling in uneven breaths. When he finally knelt beside her, he reached for her trembling hands. She'll be okay, he whispered. Trust me. Trust our little girl. Diep didn't answer. She only nodded, barely. Together, they sat there, two silhouettes beneath the harsh fluorescent light, silent, exhausted, praying for a miracle. Outside, the rain kept falling. Inside, time refused to move. Hours passed. When dawn finally came, it did not burst in. It crept quietly through the clouds, soft and pale. The storm had spent itself. Raindrops still clung to the glass, catching faint glimmers of sunlight. The door opened. A middle-aged doctor stepped out, mask lowered, fatigue visible in his eyes, but behind that exhaustion was a smile. She's stable, he said gently. Just a high fever. The convulsions were from the temperature spike, but we've brought it down. She's resting now. She'll wake up soon. For a moment, neither James nor Diep moved. Then Diep broke down. Her sobs filled the corridor, not of fear this time, but relief so deep it ached. I'm sorry, she cried. I didn't know what to do. I thought I'd lose her. James pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. No one's perfect, he said softly. You did everything you could. What matters is that she's still here. When the nurse finally rolled Nee's bed out, the little girl stirred weakly, eyes fluttering open. Mom, she whispered faintly. I'm sorry. I made you cry. Diep laughed through her tears. No, sweetheart. You didn't make me cry. You made me the happiest mom in the world. James stood beside them, eyes wet but smiling. His family, small, fragile, but whole. That was everything. Outside, the sky cleared. The first sunlight broke through, scattering gold across the hospital floor. By morning, the family stepped out of the hospital into the fresh, rain-washed air. The world smelled new again, of wet soil, grass, and promise. James drove slowly. In the back seat, Diep cradled Nee, who slept peacefully against her shoulder. Every now and then, James looked at them in the mirror and smiled quietly. The countryside shimmered with light. Every leaf glittered with raindrops. The world felt alive again. When they arrived home, Dawn, their loyal golden dog, raced out to greet them, tail wagging furiously, barking with joy. Inside, warmth replaced the chill of the night. James cooked rice porridge, the simple, comforting kind that carried the scent of ginger and love. Diep helped Nee sit up and fed her spoon by spoon, smiling softly each time the little girl swallowed. No words were needed, only glances and the quiet sound of breathing. Outside, birds began to sing. Sunlight streamed through the pomelo leaves, scattering reflections across the wet bricks. The storm was gone, but what it left behind was something stronger, a home that had survived, and hearts that still believed. Three souls, together again, safe and whole.